Just invited him, and there you are.
Hey!
Hi, I figured it out.
Well, that was more successful than the first time we did this, I think.
I know. How are you doing, Mark?
Well, good, thank you. How are you, Mita?
I am well. I am well, and you are back. You're serious practicing and dancing on ice. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, but unfortunately, my celebrity partner and I got eliminated last weekend.
Oh,
So, so that's a shame. But I'm still involved with the professional stuff, and so there's only like 10 more days of the show. So,
right.
yeah, not long.
Oh, oh. So, tell us, is Kathy joining us today, or is it
No,
just you?
just me. But I have got some notes from my good wife as well that she
Oh,
would
you
love to share.
do. Guys, just so that you know, Mark is an avid vegan, and I'm going to find out a little bit more about, find out a little bit more about how exactly that happened. So, Mark, why don't you just sort of give us a little bit of insight into how your story began before we go into the vegan
Oh,
lifestyle?
my pre-vegan life, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, pre-vegan life. Uh, Skating is at the helm of everything. So I started skating when I was around 9 or 10 years old, and that all happened because Torvald Lundin returned to compete in the Olympics in 1994, and it was on TV. And then after that, I pestered my parents relentlessly for skating lessons. And on the back of that, it essentially took over my life. And from the point that I saw them, I was convinced that I would replicate their success. And although I haven't got an Olympic gold medal around my neck, obviously skating has indeed become my life. So I've competed all over the world. I choreograph, I commentate. I'm heading to the World Championships to commentate in the World Championships just in a couple of weeks' time. So and dancing on ice I do. So skating is the place in which I met my wife. So yeah, skating is life.
And you teach as well.
Yeah, coach and I choreograph. So I coach in the Midlands, coach actually around the country. My wife and I run skate camps together as well. So yeah, skating everywhere.
Wow, that's amazing. And when did your vegan lifestyle begin? And was that pre-skating before, or was it later? How did that get incorporated in such an active, physically challenging lifestyle?
Yeah, I can't pinpoint exactly when I first became vegan, but I remember I think it was on the back of seeing Cowspiracy, and I think for whatever reason, not necessarily, well, I say that when I actually competed as a competitive skater, my ice dance partner at the time was vegetarian, and for large chunks of the year, I lived with her and her family, and so ate a vegetarian diet. And then if it was cooking for them, it would be a vegetarian diet. And Kathy, my wife, when we were dating, she was vegetarian. She's been vegetarian since she was, I think, 9 years old.
Wow.
Um, but I grew up in a carnivorous household and ate meat, and then stopped eating meat, ate some fish, and then was I think actually from being a pescatarian, I had gone down a rabbit hole online one day, not knowingly or purposefully, and I'd perhaps stumbled upon Cowspiracy, and then on the back of that, the way that our phones are wired to, you know how it's kind of freaky
I
and they show
know.
you, yeah, they bring up things that you've shown an interest in, and then effectively having been made aware of animal agriculture and the world that we're living in, some of the lack of awareness that I had, I just thought, oh my goodness, how can I not be vegan? It wasn't that I wanted to be vegan, it was I can't not be vegan. That was essentially where I was at. Um,
So was
and
it
at
more
that,
of a self journey, or was it more of meeting Kathy and having that pushed over? Like, was that more of a like a journey that you went back down the path of? And
to be completely honest, the even when I met Kathy, and like if I was cooking, obviously I would just. I think when we moved in together, I would maybe eat fish if we went out, but I didn't want to sort of disrespect her by cooking fish in the house. But at that point, I was still completely ignorant to some of the stats and facts about the animal farming industry and the impact on the planet, and so that was just more of bit of respect for my girlfriend that I didn't want
yeah,
to have her unimpressed by me. But it wasn't till later, even when we were married, we'd already been married for a few years before it was me that actually went vegan before Kathy. And
oh wow.
yeah, and like I say, I actually went vegan without any awareness, of how I'd make that a life. I just had seen so much stuff that I was like, oh, I can't do that. I can't partake in this anymore. And then
Right.
I had to find ways to sort of fit it into life. And now obviously I mean, it's, much more readily available to be a plant-based vegan eater now. Not so bad 7 years ago, but
Yeah,
harder.
now is a different story, but 7 to 10 years ago was hard. Um,
Mm.
Not as easy as it is now, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think now it's so accessible. But
Yeah.
then I suppose I think what I'm almost grateful for is that I have amassed some more awareness of why I am vegan as opposed to it's du jour. I kind of am grateful. I don't know if I'm grateful because some of the stuff that I've learned is pretty horrific and horrible, but I'm glad that I know why I choose to be that.
Right. And tell us a little bit more. So, do you have you have two beautiful kids?
Yes, so yeah, we've got so Luke actually just turned 10, Leola will turn 6 a week today.
Oh,
Um
cute.
they are, I think so. They're adorable.
Yeah,
And
perfect age group. Yeah.
they're both certainly plant-based. I mean, we'd be open to them making their own choices in life regarding their diets and their lifestyle. But one of the things that Kathy is really passionate about, as am I, is that children should be told the truth about meat and the animal agriculture industry. And we both think that if they were given the facts or the footage to show where some of the dairy that they may be given comes from, or
Yeah.
the meat that is fed comes from, and the processes that the animals go through to bring that to their table, I strongly suspect that certainly young children who have not got conditioned responses would make different life choices.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I had to tell my daughter for the longest time that because I was giving her fish when she was a kid, like till 6, that they were pretend fish. It was not a good idea because once she realized, even at the age of 6, she's like, "Mommy, this is, I've been in school. These are real living animals." And she stopped eating it. So I had to stop giving her. And you were absolutely right. Children will always make the right choice if
Yeah,
given the full fact. So you're absolutely bang on. And I think it's great that you're sort of giving them the opportunity and the understanding. So what about in any changes in physical or mental health, and how do you sort of correlate that, because you live a very I would say a more than average kind of active lifestyle.
yeah,
On
pretty
average.
intense. Yeah, pretty intense physicality.
Yeah.
What I would say, what's been interesting is that since uh, because actually prior to going vegan, as I said, I'd stopped eating meat. I didn't really eat fish, but I did. At that time, I was fed the belief that in um, my job as this kind of sports person, or my work in TV, and wanted to always look physically at my best, that I should have high protein. And so I used to eat
Yes.
loads of cottage cheese, lots of egg whites, and so I would consume that stuff, believing that would help me physically and aesthetically, physically as much as anything. Um, and then when I became more aware of why I didn't ever want to do that again, my eczema, which I'd been plagued with and have been plagued with since childhood, that really reduced in its the volume of that across my body. And now I do get bouts of eczema, I think, because I've just been when I don't consume dairy. And then, the myth that I had to have all that protein aesthetically, my body is no, there's no visible change in the aesthetics of my body from the diet that I have now, as opposed to that high protein, low carb diet that I was following for a while, which I wish I hadn't wasted my time on.
And any changes, any like difference in like mental health or mental endurance, you would say?
Um, oh, good question. Difficult to say because around the time that I did go vegan, not long after that, we had our second child, so we were constantly sleep deprived anyway. Um, so mental tenacity may be affected by that more than anything, but certainly my mental well-being, my consciousness is much clearer now,
Mm.
knowing that I feel at peace with so many more of the choices that I make, because obviously we all are faced with choices regarding our intake and our consumption, and so I'm at peace with that, and so that's kind of like a nice, we've got all these stresses and pressures and worries and concerns. I feel, at least that's one thing that I'm totally at peace with. That what's going in is better.
Yeah, no, not only that. What I realized is the difference is when I was purely like plant-based, my clarity was better. I think my endurance got higher. Almost like I could push myself more physically than I
Yeah,
could. And I don't know if you felt any of those differences because your body's generally lighter and you're processing the food so much faster.
yeah, no,
Um,
cleaner, a much more efficient, clean way of running around the body's energy. And I mean, you just have to look. James sisters are vegan. Lewis Hamilton, Novak Djokovic, all of these, elite athletes. And actually, in the figure skating community as well, there are quite a few. There was an Olympic bronze medalist in pair skating that's a real vegan advocate. And more, elite sports people choose that as their life choice. I think, I can't remember now, is it What the Health? There was the almost comical insight into plant-based living and vegan living, which would analyze the impact of a plant-based diet upon some basketball players, and it gave them better physical results and mental results, and I think also potentially sexual results as well.
oh wow. Okay. That was like a good piece of information right there. Yeah, I think so. Because I feel it, so that's why I sort of brought that up because I thought that would be really good, especially for somebody who does such a demanding role, dancing on ice. I mean, it looks so physically that I mean, I think you guys do such an awesome job week after week, where you guys are sort of pretty much put to the grind, and you guys keep coming up with these stellar performances. I think you've amazing job, Mark. I
Okay.
really hats off to you. I don't know how you do it, but I'm so proud of you every time I see you on TV. I feel proud of you.
Thank you. I actually, well, I should and want to fly the flag for veganism a little bit more. It's a difficult line because I know that there are some that can be a little bit preachy and a little bit
Yeah,
antagonistic and aggressive with it.
yeah,
And I don't want to do that, but
I know.
equally, I am, it's something that I'm quite passionate about and something that I would, in time actually would like to push more and use the little bit of platform that I do have to promote it more.
Right. And I think you're doing a fantastic job. So, you collaborate with us quite a bit. Is there anything special that you sort of said, okay, let's collaborate with LaBante? Is there anything that sort of really gets you excited about fashion and the changes that we've seen also in the fashion industry in the past 5 years, really?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I am a little bit of a hermit insofar as I live in an ice rink and I feel like work and then parenting kind of consume my
Yeah,
life, and
or
I'm
that.
not wholly up to date with um, the fashion industry. However, it does nothing but excite me that Levante has an awareness for what is much more wholesome in the world, and obviously just the fact that you guys are taking on, I mean, not just make stuff, because
Yeah.
my Levante bag goes with me everywhere. In fact, actually, I'm heading off to Japan soon. That'll be the first thing that I pack. It's great stuff, but with a clear conscience,
Yeah.
and something that I feel proud in supporting, proud in wearing. And also, to be honest, I always used to think, certainly in terms of the Levante stuff, I always used to think, like leather goods always seem quite plush and
Luxury.
fancy, luxury, fancy for want of a better
Yeah.
term. And yet there I have now a bag that leather, to all
Yeah.
intents and purposes to everybody else, but it hasn't harmed anybody or anyone in the
Exactly.
process.
Exactly.
Um,
And you've been wearing the apple leather shoes as well. I think with the apple leather shoes as well. Yeah.
and people will comment on them every time that I wear them, and it's so nice then to be able to, like I say, I'm reluctant to be preachy vegan, but to be able to showcase it
Right.
and get attention for it and then spread the word that way is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So thank you so much. Um, what are your plans for the future in terms of professional and personal? I mean, you've been doing dancing on ice. Is that something you sort of foresee you'll continue down the path of, or is there any
So
sort
to be honest, actually at the moment So I'm 37. I've been doing dancing and ice for 10 years. It's consumed so much of my life, my wife's life, my family's life. I'm not sure if the show will return. It would be hard not to want to return because it's just so much fun. It's just a gorgeous job to be a part of, and I feel
Yeah.
because I have been there for so long, and probably I've been there longer than 95% maybe of the people involved in the
Yes,
show.
yes.
It
And
is like,
everybody loves watching you on it. I mean, like, yeah, so that would be like really great as well. I mean, everybody
yeah,
loves watching it. And like all of us, I think a lot of people from the community, from the anti-cruelty sustainable community feel so happy to sort of see you out there on the street
oh,
and obviously all voting for you.
that's amazing to hear.
At least
Oh,
I am, so I'm sure the rest of them
I,
are.
I didn't
Oh, I lost you, Mark. Are you still there?
Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was just saying that, whatever happens with whether you dancing on ice or not, again, what would be really cool to be able to use this little bit of platform that I have got through that and through some of the other sort of TV work that I do to, to do some work that I am passionate about. And certainly that would be a more sustainable future. And I think, I don't know about you, but I live I'm stuck between two trains of thought. There's,
Mm.
the pursuit of a professional career. There's the pursuit of a nicer lifestyle,
Yeah.
and obviously with that comes, working towards earning a better standard of living. But then I'm torn with the desire to good and to do good and to speak good and to be proactive in the pursuit of um, better planetary mindfulness. And so I'm a little bit torn with make a better life for me, my wife and children versus,
Yes.
well, not versus, in addition to make a more mindful help to make a more mindful choices for as many people as is possible. So if there's any way that I can correlate the two, I've got some ideas, but if there's any way that I can do both, that would be quite the dream.
Oh my gosh, I think that's so true, and that's something sometimes even I struggle with personally. So
I
it
bet.
really, it really, it's head on. What's happened in the last couple of years is the landscape has really changed. A lot of the larger brands have sort of popped in and said, "Hey, we're doing this vegan bag. Here, we're doing these vegan shoes," and they're using materials which probably I'm using in like my cheapest range,
Yeah.
right? And they're not really doing it with that sense of purpose and that sense of pride and actually doing the right thing for the planet, and that bothers me, right?
And I bet they'll be coming in with, and I understand it. You correct me if I'm wrong, but those big brands where bottom line money is so much of the focus and the objective, which I can comprehend and understand. But
Yeah.
you're coming from a much more holistic, wholesome approach whereby yes, you need to pay for life, but you want to do good.
Yes, exactly. And that's sort of, again, from, how it was from your perspective. So that's from my angle. I feel torn also with exactly the same things. So we do
And
just the profit route. We need to do the right thing because we have to do the right thing.
I suppose we just have to cling on to the hope that both are possible. We just maybe have to work a little bit harder to make that happen.
yeah. Mark, I'm going to take this offline with you and pick your brains further then. Just
Okay.
FYI. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's important. And it'd be very nice to see more celebrities like yourself speaking out about it and coming on platforms like this and having a more holistic view on, brands who are actually doing it with purpose over profit. Or
Yeah, and I mean, I think when like I say, I'm 37 years old. I've lived the first 30 years of my life with complete blissful ignorance
yeah,
about what was happening on the planet, what was happening in the animal agriculture industry, and I think that there'd be so many more people that will be in that same state of blissful ignorance, unaware of the impact of their life choices, and so. But few people want to stick their head above the parapet on the chopping block, ready for attack, by shaming anybody else's life choices. What I would love to do is not shame anybody else in their life choices, but just to promote the positive change and encourage others. So even for me, I'm no chef, but if I can, promote vegan recipes that might excite others to try them, then maybe that would be the route that would take, as opposed to shaming and naming and shaming those that.
Agreed. Agreed. Oh, absolutely. Any day. Any day. Sharing the love rather than naming and shaming. That's not the way we do it. No.
More love, less hate.
Exactly. Are there any of your vegan celebrities who basically have sort of also sort of joined the bandwagon, or are there many celebrities who just pretty much are not aware? How does it work in your industry?
Well, I suppose what's fascinating when I work on Dancing on Ice, every year that I do the TV show, I'm partnered up with a celebrity, and
Yes.
I get to spend so much time with 11 other celebs and
Yeah.
the professional skaters who, some of them are like family to me. And so recently I've been a little bit more proactive in trying to just make a little bit of awareness. And it always is so fascinating now because I'm so conscious of what I've seen. My brain can't take away some of the stuff that I've seen. And yet
Right.
I've got friends, really good friends and really good humans
Yeah.
that I know that are making life choices, which I think if they were mindful of what's happened to create the food that's on their plate, they're too good as humans. If they knew that stuff, they would do it.
So did you push them? Did you like nudge them to watch like Forks Over Knives or something crazy like that? Or
Well,
Seaspiracy? I've done that.
well, that's the thing is like I don't I'm not I'm such a non-confrontational type of human that I'm like reluctant. But what I did do recently, when I was at the studio just a couple of weeks ago, I got the brand Honestly Tasty sent me some of their cheese, some of their vegan cheese, and I just cut it up, put it on crackers, and fed the
Oh,
entire
okay.
production. And I was just like, guys, this is great vegan cheese. Try it, please. No cows were harmed. No little calves were taken from their mummies.
Yeah, I
And it
love
tastes really
that.
good.
I stress them out. That's a
Yeah.
tragedy.
So maybe that's the way I have to do it, is just try to
Yeah, do it with love.
encourage it.
So my cousin brother was a hardcore meat eater. Loved his sashimi. Loved his rare steak. Right.
Okay.
And I made him watch. I said, just watch Seaspiracy for me. And he's saying, "Oh, what is it? Tell him." He just blew me off with it. Must be something about there's too much fishing going on or something. I said, just watch it. And
Yeah, do me the honor and just watch it.
and then this was on Friday, right? And I spoke to him on Monday, Mark, and he's like, "I've turned vegetarian." I was like, "Okay, I
Amazing.
love it. I
And
love
that's
it."
from somebody that's a real diehard carnivore.
Die hard foodie and a meat lover. Foodie and a
Wow.
meat lover.
Amazing.
And I was like, how did that even happen? I wasn't expecting anything as drastic as that, right? Because
But and
imagine, yeah.
what's
And
really
this is just
interesting,
over the pandemic. So,
yeah. I
yeah.
think the good thing, I suppose, is now that talking about foodies is that there are some Michelin star chefs that are really embracing it. And then when you can give people when you give people an amazing palate experience, then they
Right.
don't feel like they're missing out. But equally, what's interesting, after you just telling me about the friend of yours that was a diehard carnivore that's turned veggie, having seen Seaspiracy, is
Yeah.
my mom and dad, great people, highly intelligent academics, and yet they can't make that switch. And I think that that's probably just such a conditioned response. There are so many that have just got such a conditioned process and response, and they'll make that drip feed. They'll tell me, "Oh yeah, we're being a bit more veggie," and I think, "Gosh, you're good humans. You're really clever, but you can't see like."
No, you need
Hello?
to show them stuff. You need to show them the movie. Yeah, I think that's so it does it, because I think visually it really helps to sort of understand, because it's more scientific for them when they see it or see what's happening as well. So
Yeah.
some of these movies have been really, really helpful. So
I think I
that's,
need to
yeah,
chain them to the TV with matchsticks and
yeah,
say,
exactly, Mark. That's exactly what you need to do.
I can be a
The
bit more aggressive with my family than
Yeah,
the
exactly.
mainstream
I would
public.
suggest you start there rather than, yeah, but absolutely. I think that's awesome. So, in terms of, sustainability and like how we've sort of moved, the industry's really changed. So now there's so much more innovation. I'm just sort of bringing it back into fashion. And
Mm,
there's been a lot of innovation in the industry. And now we've got app leather capsules. But the problem that we have is that not everything is 100%, right? It's
Okay.
getting there and everything is a moving target. So it's
Okay.
kind of sometimes hard to explain to people as to how we're going to get there because we may not have all the answers just because sustainability is such a moving target. And that's been one of my challenges in sort of getting the message across to the world as well. And I,
So
you know,
where do you how did it first start for you, and where is everything sourced and created?
so basically, like the shoes you got is from Portugal,
Hmm.
and the fabric is from Italy. So there is a gentleman who sort of innovated. He's an inventor, and he made his huge juicing industry, apple juicing industry in south of Italy, and in that area, they took all the apple core and apple pump, and the core and the skin, and they basically came up with the technology to sort of mix it with recycled fabrics and come up with apple leather.
And it's
You know,
so like it's so soft. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
It looks like leather, right? It looks like leather.
Looks, it feels like leather.
Yeah, you cannot tell the difference. And this is, but we're still moving there. We're still getting there to be perfect. So I would say this is like there, but it's not there 100%. And I'm still sort of expecting, and we're working on more technological advances
And then
now.
how just purely out of interest for the industry and for you guys on a cost, because we've correlated the reality of living, and the need to break even and make profit because you have to live in this world. How does the cost compare with the cow's leather or the goat leather or the animal leather versus that?
So the problem that we've got right now is because the technology is so new and so highly coveted. A lot of the premium brands are sort of going to these guys and saying, "Hey, give us your leather." The problem that we've got is that it's very expensive. It's actually, I would say, more expensive than cow leather,
Mm-hmm. I can
because
imagine
cow
just
leather
because.
is so easily available, right? It's essentially very easily available. This isn't. Here, there's a huge amount of costs associated with machinery that has been put together specially to make these leathers. And unless and until we reach a scalable point where the demand is so much from, say, EV in a car industry and, the other industries, when they have so much more demand, then the production can scale up where the costs will come down. Right now, it's at level where it's not scaled up. So the costs are still very high. And that's something that, that's again, a balancing act that we're having to do. So that's
So but is that where you have to make these choices and just stick to your guns and know that whilst it may be more expensive, you know that it's good stuff, you know that it's
yeah,
sustainable, you know that.
yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. But we're also trying to offer other options which are probably like as sustainable or slightly less at more reasonable price points. And again, the more expensive ones as well, which is the apple leather. So it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge, needless to say. And that doesn't help when all the large brands say, "Oh, we've introduced vegan shoes," and they're doing it in like the cheapest fabric on the
Plastic.
market.
And then that's the stuff that presumably is so much worse for the planet might be
Oh
vegan and
yeah,
not.
yeah. It just sort of sits there and nothing's gonna happen to it. It's gonna just like sit there. So that's the challenge of our industry and what it's moving. And I'm just hoping that we're able to move fast enough where we're able to still keep ahead of the curve. So that's
Well,
like you said, your challenge, your personal challenge of doing good and working in a
living.
family. I have the same issues.
Well, I wish you all the very, very best in doing so. I can corroborate and confirm wholly and wholeheartedly that the quality of the stuff totally justifies it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mark. It's been such a pleasure. Is there any last minute things you'd like to sort of let your audience know?
Um, Actually, it's interesting when we talk about veganism and the plight for more. It was interesting today. I've been off today. I've been at home, and on daytime TV, there's a discussion point about the cost of powdered milk for children, and it sounds horrendous for those that believe that powdered milk is a necessity. For those that have perhaps been unable to breastfeed, and for children, I'm sure there are a whole host of children for which powdered milk is necessity.
Yeah.
Um, and each to their own to some extent. But I think something that my wife was maybe increasingly mindful and aware of is the power of breastfeeding, and that in itself is vegan. And I think that's something, when you ask me about what would I like to do moving forward, I've got my professional pursuits, and I would hope to use my career and a little bit of profile that I have to push more vegan pursuit and to marry the professional and the veganism together. And certainly, although I haven't breastfed, that's for sure. That's something that I think I'd love to help my wife raise awareness with, and
Yes.
that's something that's so powerful and so important. So that's something that's on our radar as well, and kind of
Mm,
falls under that, unknowingly, I think, falls under that radar of veganism.
that's true. I did not think of it that way, and I'm so glad you brought it up because I get that. And I agree with you. It's very important to raise awareness. And you've hit such a nice topic. It can be sensitive at times, but absolutely, I
And
think
each to their own, and I think, I'm not ignorant to the fact that everybody's living their own race. We're all dealing with this crazy world that we are in,
yeah,
and any challenges that you and I, Vanita, are very privileged to be even able to have this conversation on Instagram
true,
Live. Gosh,
true.
we are
You're
so blessed.
absolutely right.
But maybe because we are so blessed to be able to have, for you and I to be able to have Wi-Fi phones and discussions about veganism off the scale blessed. And I think there's maybe some sort of ownership on the back of that we can raise awareness for other factors as well.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mark. I think it's been such a pleasure talking to you as usual.
Thank you
I'm
for
going to
having me.
connect with you offline. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you
Big
so
love
much.
back.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank
you.
you. Take care. Bye.
Bye, bye.